Through watching Native America From Caves to Cosmos, I learned a lot about Native Americans that I didn't previously know. At the beginning of the video, there were a couple of facts listed off about Native Americans. One of the first facts listed off is that Native American democracy actually inspired the US Constitution. Another fact that was thrown out in the video is that Native Americans actually domesticated plants that provide 60% of the food consumed in the world today. After the introductory facts, the video begins to go into the Native American city called Chaco. Chaco is actually a Native American built city and is one of the largest cities in North America. Some Native Americans still have a very strong connection to the city. There's a portion of the video where they talk about a sacred cave in the city, and I thought it was really cool that the Hopi allowed the camera crew to watch them perform their sacred ceremony. I can't imagine how good it must have felt to be in that area in such a sacred place. Through the video, I also learned that the Hopi tribe believed that Chaco was a place where thousands of people came to learn about the Earth's natural forces and how to influence the natural elements. These elements included wind, clouds, and rain. I also learned that it is believed that Chaco is like an amalgamation of a bunch of different tribes throughout the United States, that basically like a melting pot, almost like a centralized meeting point. So there was a portion in the video where archaeologists found these pots in a room in Chaco, and these pots had traces of cacao beans. Cacao beans are found in Central America. So the cacao beans and the chocolate drinking ritual that went along with the pots had to have traveled from Central America to Chaco. This is the case with many other materials found in Chaco. There were objects found such as carved shells from the Pacific coast and the Gulf of Mexico. They also found turquoise from mountains. And finally, they found remnants of tropical birds from Central American jungles, which are thousands of miles away. So somehow all of these materials had to migrate to Chaco. Another thing this video has taught me is that what we are taught in textbooks may not be as accurate as we once thought they were. This video points to evidence that implies Native Americans were present in the Amazon 13,000 years ago. This contradicts what we were taught in textbooks, which state that Native Americans were present in a different location 11,000 years ago. I also liked the portion of the video where it spoke about how many Native Americans believe that they emerged from the earth. The Hopi and the Pueblo people believe that this emergence took place at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, and it is considered a very culturally significant and sacred area. Finally, I learned the difference between Native American maps and your typical everyday I'm gonna go on a road trip map. So, Zuni maps depicted cultural landscapes and living memories, which is very different from your typical topographic map. I think through watching this video and, learning everything that I learned, it will make me a better ally to the Native American community because I'm more wise to their culture. A lot of what I think stereotypes and stigmas against communities come from a lack of education. So by me being better educated on Native Americans and I've only dipped my toes into their culture. I'm sure there's way more I have to learn and way more I have to be taught about their culture before I can confidently say this. But now that I'm a little bit more educated on some of the aspects of their culture and their origin, I feel if I hear someone, make a stereotypical remark or, have stereotypical beliefs, I can educate that person through what I learned. Personally, I believe that we all could be a little bit more educated on Native Americans and Native American culture, especially since they were here first. I also think it's especially important that we all get more education on Native American culture because what we're being taught, in elementary and middle and high school may not be as accurate as it's led on to be. We've seen a lot of instances of, high school, middle school, and elementary school history books not giving the full story or not accurately depicting what actually happened. And just like I said earlier, I learned that what we're being taught in history books about the origin of Native Americans might not even be correct. So overall, I really enjoyed the video and I'm really glad I watched it because it opened my eyes to a lot of Native American culture that I just didn't know about.